And what does the Lord require of thee? But to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. To walk, to listen, to trust, to believe, to know in the depth of our being that we are the children of God. We are called by his name. We are a part of the great family of God. This is a God who sees me. His name, Jehovah El Roi. He sees me, and yet he loves me. He sees all of me. He sees my faults. He sees my hurts. He sees my failings, but he loves me just the same. His name is Jehovah Rohi. He is my shepherd, and he cares for the one as much as he cares for the 99. His rod and his staff, they comfort me and give direction for my life. In the hand of the good shepherd, the rod is less for correction and more for direction. When it is for correction, it is in the hand of the loving father who sees that his toddler has fallen and needs encouragement to rise again and face the day. It is with love and grace and mercy that he leads us along the path of life. He knows we will stumble. He knows the path is strewn with difficulty, but he longs to develop our hinds feet for the high places. Hinds feet. A reference to the last verse in the Old Testament book of the prophet Habakkuk. If you look at the beginning of the book in your Message Bible, you will find an introduction by one of my favorites, Eugene Peterson. Living by faith is a bewildering venture. We rarely know what's coming next, and not many things turn out the way we anticipate. It is natural to assume that since I am God's chosen and beloved, I will get favorable treatment from the God who favors me so extravagantly. It is not unreasonable to expect that from time to time it is not unreasonable to expect that from the time that I become his follower, I will be exempt from dead ends, muddy detours, and cruel treatment from the travelers I meet daily who are walking in the other direction. That God followers don't get preferential treatment in life always comes as a surprise. But it's also a surprise to find that there are a few men and women within the Bible who show up alongside us at such moments. The prophet Habakkuk is one of those, and a most welcome companion he is. Most prophets, most of the time, speak God's word to us. They are preachers calling us to listen to God's words of judgment and salvation, confrontation and comfort. They face us with God as he is, not as we imagine him to be. Most prophets are in-your-face assertive, not given to tact, not diplomatic, as they insist that we pay attention to God. But Habakkuk speaks our words to God. He gives voice to our bewilderment, articulates our puzzled attempts to make sense of things, faces God with our disappointment with God. He insists that God pay attention to us. And he insists with a prophet's characteristic no-nonsense bluntness. The circumstance that aroused Habakkuk took place in the 7th century BC. The prophet realized that God was going to use the godless military machine of Babylon to bring God's judgment on God's own people, using a godless nation to punish a godly nation? It didn't make sense. And Habakkuk was quick and bold to say so. He dared to voice his feelings that God didn't know his own God business. Not a day has passed since that one of us hasn't picked up and repeated Habakkuk's bafflement. God, you don't seem to make sense. But this prophet companion who stands at our side does something even more important. He waits and he listens. It is in his waiting and his listening, which then turns into his praying, that he found himself inhabiting the large world of God's sovereignty. Only there did he eventually realize that the believing in God life, the steady trusting in God life, is the full life, the only real life. Habakkuk started out exactly where we start out with our puzzled complaints and God accusations, but he didn't stay there. He ended up in a world, along with us, where every detail in our lives of love for God is worked into something good. So what does the Lord require of you? Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly, and trust that every detail in our lives of love for God will work into something good. Let it be so.